all the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Suzon every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
AFP reaffirms readiness to safeguard national security amid Middle East tensions. Jordanian national with alleged links to Sydney terrorist suspects nabbed in Pagadian for immigration rafts. Palace assures President Marcos continues to monitor Middle East tensions. PNP on guard against potential spillover effect of Middle East conflict.
Good day everyone, especially to our troops at Camp Emilio Aguinaldo in Quezon City. Today is Tuesday, March 3, and this is AFP Community News, your source for the updates on the armed forces and other developments across the country. This is Jhai Simbajon here to bring you today's stories.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines assure the public that national security remains stable despite recent developments in the Middle East. In an official statement, the AFP said security operations across the country continue uninterrupted and there is no immediate threat to Philippine territory. Authorities also urged citizens to remain vigilant against disinformation and to rely only on official government sources for updates. This statement was issued for many social media posts, raised concerns over possible risks linked to the 9 Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. Sites are shared by Philippines and the United States forces, but the Department of National Defense emphasized these narratives only create unnecessary panic. The DND reaffirmed its focus on supporting the AFP, including readiness for humanitarian assistance and evacuation operations in the Middle East if needed.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And a Jordanian national linked to suspects in the December 2025 Sydney terrorist attack was apprehended in Pagadian City during a joint operation by the Bureau of Immigration, Philippine National Police, 102nd Infantry Brigade, and Joint Task Force Zampelan. The operation targeted 65-year-old Mohammed Audi Saleh Odi for immigration violations including overstaying and operating a business without proper permits under BI Mission Order Number 080 and Sections 37A7 of the Philippine Immigration Act of 1940. According to the investigation, Odi's business was identified during a security review as connected to individuals involved in the December 14, 2025 attack near Bondi Beach, Australia, which targeted the Jewish community's Chanukah by the Sea celebration. Philippine authorities emphasized that no direct involvement in terrorism has been established, but coordination with national and international partners continues to assess any potential security risks.
DWDD Armed Forces News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now let us hear some information from Joy of Northern Luzon Command about Marine Battalion Landing Team 10 conducts outreach program in San Jasmira, Cagayan. Joy.
Yes, good afternoon. The Marine Battalion Landing Team 10 under the 4th Marine Brigade conducted outreach program in Barangay Langagan, San Jasmira, Cagayan. The activity featured information drive on West Philippine Sea, attended by parents and barangay officials of the said locality. The discussion centered on enhancing public awareness of the country's sovereign rights and maritime entitlements, underscoring the significance of unity, vigilance, and informed citizenship and protection of national interest. As part of humanitarian-related activity, MBLT-10 personnel distributed books and toys to indigenous people's children and facilitated parlor games to promote camaraderie and positive engagement with the youth sector. The unit also conducted a food-feeding activity and distributed pre-loved clothing to selected beneficiaries in the community. The outreach initiative aimed to further strengthen the partnership between the Marine Battalion Landing Team 10 and the local populace while fostering cooperation, trust, and mutual support. This underscores the unit's steadfast commitment to community development, strategic information dissemination, and the continuous enhancement of civil-military relations in the area. This is Maljoy Nesho Oroco reporting for AFP Community News. One AFP for stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Meljoy.
DWDD Armed Forces
And the Department of National Defense is closely monitoring developments in the Middle East, working alongside the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Department of Migrant Workers, and other government agencies to ensure the safety of Filipinos abroad. Officials says there is no immediate threat to the Philippines, but contingency plans have been activated in case the situation escalates. The Armed Forces of the Philippines remains on standby, ready to provide humanitarian aid and conduct evacuation operations if necessary. Meanwhile, authorities urge the public to rely solely on official government sources for updates and to remain cautious of misinformation circulating online.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And the Philippine Air Force proudly honors Sergeant Sonny M. Wagdos for a historic performance at the 2026 Tokyo Marathon. Sergeant Wagdos completed a 42-kilometer race in 2 hours and 14 minutes and 32 seconds, setting a new Philippine men's national marathon record. The Philippine Air Force says his achievement highlights the discipline, perseverance, and dedication of its personnel, proving that its personnel can excel not only in service but also on the world stage of elite sports.
DWDD Armed Forces News. Armed Forces Radio Report.
We have a report from Joanne about Northern Luzon Command kicks off month-long celebration for National Women's Month. Joanne?
The Northern Luzon Command joined the nation in officially launching the month-long observance of the National Women's Month 2026 through a flag-raising ceremony held on Monday at Headquarters NOLCOM Camp General Serviliano Aquino, San Miguel, Tarlac City. During the ceremony, Lieutenant General Aristotle D. Gonzalez, Philippine Air Force, Commander of the Northern Luzon Command, read the message of the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Romeo S. Browner Jr., Philippine Army, emphasizing this year's theme, We for Gender Equality and Inclusive Society, and the global call, Rights, Justice, Action for All Women and Girls. NOLCOM reaffirmed its steadfast commitment to supporting the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine Commission on Women in advancing gender equality and fostering an environment where every soldier, airman, sailor, and civilian personnel is empowered to serve with honor, service, and patriotism. This is John Sagaok reporting for AFP Community News, One AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Joanne.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And the Western Mindanao Naval Command, through Naval Task Force 61, formally turned over to the Bureau of Customs, Port of Zamboanga, the intercepted smuggled foreign cigarettes. The said cigarettes were recovered in 2 separate maritime interdiction operations with a combined final estimated market value of 466,515,728 pesos. It can be recalled that last February 24, Naval Forces intercepted MV Sun Voyage in the waters of Calamansig Port, Sultan Kudarat, and discovered thousands of master cases of assorted foreign-branded cigarettes concealed on board. Meanwhile, on February 25, naval personnel also intercepted MV Sky Blue southeast of Sibago Island, Basilan, which also revealed hundreds of master cases of undocumented foreign-branded cigarettes. The vessels failed to present the required importation permits and cargo documentation. Western Mindanao Naval Command reaffirmed its commitment to safeguarding the maritime domain, protecting national borders, and strengthening interagency collaboration to combat smuggling, illicit trade, and other transnational crimes in Western Mindanao.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And for our national news,
DWDD National News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is closely monitoring developments in the Middle East amid the ongoing conflict. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said President has directed concerned government agencies to provide all necessary assistance to Filipinos affected by the escalating tension since it has begun on February 28. Castro said the President reiterated his directive to the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Department of Migrant Workers, and other relevant agencies to closely monitor the situation and ensure the government assistance reaches affected Filipinos to guarantee their safety. She also assured the government agencies to remain prepared for the possible repatriation of overseas Filipinos once Middle East airspace reopens.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio Report.
On the other line, let us hear more from Leonor about Armed Forces of the Philippines Honor Soldier Coaches Monitoring Officer for outstanding performance in the 13th ASEAN Para Games. Leonor?
Of the Philippines conferred the Chief of Staff AFP Commendation Medal and Ribbon to 6 soldier coaches and 1 motoring officer during an awarding and recognition ceremony held at the Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City. The ceremony was presided over the Deputy Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Romel Roldan, Philippine Air Force, in recognition of the honorees' invaluable service during the conduct of the 13th ASEAN Para Games held in Nakhon Ratchasima, Thailand from 15 to 28 January 2026. The national contingent brought home of total 38 medals, consisting of 16 gold, 9 silver, and 13 bronze. The AFP commended the awardees for exemplifying excellence beyond the battlefield and for upholding the organization's commitment to service and national pride. This is Leonor Tanap reporting for AFP Community News, 1FP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Leonor.
DWDD National News.
And senators urged the government to prepare contingency measures as escalating tensions in the Middle East threaten to trigger another round of oil price hikes that could affect transport groups, farmers, and fisherfolk. Senator Rafi Tulfo said authorities must be ready to roll out fuel subsidies once global prices spike. Senator Risa Ontiveros also urged the Department of Energy to prepare both urgent and long-term energy security measures as the government do not know how long the Strait of Hormuz will be closed and its immediate impact will be a surge in prices. Meanwhile, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian urged the Land Transportation Regulatory and Franchising Board to prepare for the possible activation of the Pantawid Pasada. Senators cited safeguards under the tax reform for acceleration and inclusion law and pushed for charges in fuel subsidy.
DWDD National News.
And the Philippine National Police remains on alert amid fears of possible spillover of violence. PNP Chief John Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. said they have not detected a credible threat, but their personnel remain vigilant and proactive. He added that the situation is being monitored and they are in close coordination with other government agencies on this matter. Nartates said intelligence units are actively monitoring potential spillover effects, including terror threats and radicalization.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now we have some information from Shaina about 19th Infantry Battalion joins the nation in celebrating the 2026 National Women's Month. Sha?
The 19th Infantry Battalion joined the 2026 National Women's Month celebration at its headquarters in Barangay Opong, Katubig, Northern Samar, under the theme Women and Everyone for Gender Equality and an Inclusive Society. The battalion reaffirms its commitment for promoting women's rights and empowerment. Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Roger N. Gobwe Jr. delivered the message of the Chief of Staff Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Romeo S. Browner Jr. The battalion pledged continued support for women in uniform, ensuring all AFP members can serve, lead, and excel without barriers. This is Shaina Araneta reporting for AFP Community News, 1AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Shaina.
DWDD National News.
And government agencies extended assistance for stranded overseas Filipino workers bound for Middle East. This follows flight cancellations prompted by escalating tensions in the region. The DMW said its migrant workers office in Hong Kong assisted 132 OFWs scheduled to depart for Riyadh and Dubai after their flights were cancelled following missile attacks between the United States, Iran, and Israel. A total of 57 Abu Dhabi-bound OFWs who were stranded at Hong Kong International Airport have been returned to Manila early Monday. The OFWs were also given food and temporary accommodation while awaiting updates on alternative travel arrangements.
DWDD National News.
And the nationwide crime rate fell by 25% in the first 2 months of 2026 compared to the same period last year. Philippine National Police data showed focus crimes dropped from 6,081 cases in January to February 2025 to 4,532 this year. Focus crimes include murder, homicide, rape, physical injury, carnapping of motorcycles and motor vehicles, and theft, PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nertates Jr. attributed the decrease in crime to better deployment, faster response, and more effective coordination. He added that they have continued to intensify data-driven interventions.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now let us hear some information from Beth about Tactical Operations Wing West extends gratitude to partners and supporters of the Ride, Give, Unite initiative in Palawan. Beth?
The Tactical Operation Wing West extend its sincere gratitude to all partners, sponsors, and stakeholders who supported its Ride, Give, Unite RGU activities and celebration of the Wing 53rd founding anniversary. Under the RGU initiative, 2 West carried out meaningful activities including the West Philippine Sea Advocacy Ride and 2 West Night, which bring together soldiers, local government units, partner agencies, civilian stakeholders, and community members. The wing also recognize and commend its civilian partners and local government unit for their generous support and active contributions, which help strengthen and ensure the success of initiative. The said proceeds from the advocacy rides will benefit residents and students of Barangay Pag-asa, Palawan, reaffirming the shared commitment of all partners and the community to both the West Philippine Sea and frontline communities. This is Beth Tanyete reporting for the AFP Community News, 1 AFP for the stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Beth Tanyete.
DWDD National News.
And the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development has started distributing units for a condo-type mass housing project in Bulacan. It is expected to benefit around 30,000 families. The HSUD Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling said at least 1,000 beneficiaries initially received certificates and symbolic keys for their respective units at the condominium-type development strategically located in Santa Maria. Aliling added this is another proof of the government's commitment to provide affordable but decent housing to all the Filipinos.
DWDD National News.
And the Department of Education will fully implement its strengthened senior high school curriculum in school year 2026 to 2027. This marks a major shift in the country's basic education program. Beginning in June 2026, DepEd's strengthened curriculum will replace the previous 4-track system with only 2 tracks, academic and technical professional. The revised curriculum will also streamline core subjects to just 5 as part of the agency's push to decongest learning content, sharpen foundational competencies, and better align graduates' skills with higher education and workforce demand.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now let us hear more updates from AME about 2nd Marine Brigade Commander visits 1st Marine Rifle Battalion headquarters. AME?
The 2nd Marine Brigade Commander, Brigadier General Bayani V. Kurami, Philippine Navy Marines, conducted an official visit to headquarters 1st Marine Rifle Battalion located at Naval Station Rio Hondo, Barangay Rio Hondo, Zamboanga City. He was warmly received by 1st Marine Rifle Battalion Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Edgar S. Bernardo Jr., Philippine Navy Marines, together with other officers, enlisted personnel, and civilian human resource. One of the highlights of the visit is conduct of open forum, which allowed personnel to raise concerns, ask questions, and engage directly with the brigade commander. The visit also served to evaluate the battalion's operational preparedness, review ongoing initiatives, and provide guidance on future plans, ensuring that 1st Marine Rifle Battalion continues to effectively contribute to the brigade's strategic objectives and mission accomplishment. This is Amir reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Amy.
DWDD National News.
And despite ongoing tensions in the Middle East, overseas voter registration will continue uninterrupted, the Commission on Elections said. The poll body reminded Filipinos in the region to stay alert and ensure their registration is updated. Overseas voter registration for the 2028 general elections began on December 1, 2025 and will run until September 30, 2027. Eligible applicants only include Filipino citizens aged 18 and above who will be abroad during the May 2028 elections, including overseas Filipino workers, immigrants, and dual citizens. Applications can be filed at Philippine embassies, consulates, cultural offices, or at the Office of Overseas Voting in Intramuros, Manila.
DWDD. National News.
And fugitive businessman Atong Ang remains at large despite police raids on some 20 areas since January. Philippine National Police Chief General Jose Nartates Jr. said they have raided and checked the properties and known whereabouts of Atong Ang. He added that around 20 areas were visited or raided not only twice but thrice. The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group previously said their efforts were concentrated on Metro Manila, Central Luzon, Calabar Zone, and the Bicol region.
DWDD. National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And we have another update from Mike about 102nd Infantry Brigade facilitates immersive educational engagement for ROTC students of Dr. Aurelio Mendoza Memorial Colleges. Mike?
The 102nd Infantry Brigade hosted an immersive and educational engagement for ROTC students of Dr. Aurelio Mendoza Memorial College in Sanito, Ipil, Zamboanga, Sibugay. A total of 202 ROTC students participated in the activity, gaining hands-on exposure to military operations, leadership principles, and the core mandate of the national defense. Troops delivered comprehensive discussions on the fundamentals of armaments, in-depth lecture on the West Philippine Sea, and a focused briefing on the critical role of Army reservists in a territorial defense operations. The activity enhanced the cadets' understanding of their responsibilities as future reservists and reinforced their appreciation of the Philippine Army's commitment to protecting the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. This is Mike reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Mike.
DWDD. National News.
And for our final news, warm and humid weather will continue to prevail across most of the country in the coming days, but the amihan is expected to return by midweek. Pag-asa weather specialist Alzara Aurelio said the entire archipelago is currently experiencing warm and humid conditions due to the easterlies. However, he added the amihan has not completely ended and another surge is expected by Wednesday, March 4, which could affect a large part of Luzon. The amihan generally lasts from October to March and typically brings cooler temperatures, stronger winds, and occasional rains, particularly over Luzon.
DWDD. National News.
And that's all for today's broadcast. Thank you for joining us, especially to our audience in our DWDD AFP Radio Facebook page. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for more updates, same time, same station. Again, this is Jhai Simbajon for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Behold the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Suzon every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Mga katropa, alam mo ba na ang DWDD 1134 kHz AFP Radio ay ang opisyal na radio station ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas na binubuo ng Army, Navy at Air Force na siyang maghahatid sa inyo ng mga balita mula sa ating Armed Forces at iba pang impormasyon. Mga katropa, hanapin at ilike kami sa Facebook, Twitter at YouTube. DWDD AFP Radio, ang boses ng Kawal Pilipino.